Hey folks, everything new under the sun. All right, another video with Macron in it. At G7 last week, this is July 5th, 2022 article from Now the End Begins. Emmanuel Macron suggested creating a revived Roman Empire, and PM Boris Johnson of England thinks it's a great idea. Now, this is based off a tweet that he put out there. Emmanuel Macron, the European continent is no longer at peace, not since, and I don't want to go to Twitter, not since the 24th of February 2022 when Russia decided on war in Madrid. Meeting as allies, we took note. So should an alliance be made? A revived Roman Empire? And this is basically what the article is getting at. And Macron is leading the pack in, talking about this, getting people together to talk about what their security interests are and gathering people together to discuss it. So interesting. Again, Macron, one of these names, one of these heads popping up in terms of, a potential candidate for an Antichrist. And if we are that close, and if we are going to be here for, when the Antichrist is alive, then this is significant. And I certainly think even if we're not here at the beginning of the 7-year period, I think we should still be able to understand who the Antichrist is, or have some idea of, what this guy is setting himself up to be, that person, whether we're 6 months out from that or 2 years. This guy's got to be in politics. He's got to be alive somewhere. He's probably somewhere visible. We just don't know exactly. So looking at these, I don't think is incorrect. You don't want to call someone an Antichrist and have that be incorrect, but you want to say, look at this person. Is he moving towards and trying to set up the world in such a fashion that lines up with what the Bible says is going to happen in the last days? And I think that could be the case here. All right, some Israeli updates. jpost.com. So Bennett has stepped down as Prime Minister. Lapid is now Prime Minister of Israel. And this goes back to the 70 Shepherds of Israel. That prophecy, is there a different interpretation of it? Regardless, Lapid is now the Prime Minister. And in terms of the other understanding of the 70 Shepherds of Israel, Ken Johnson believes indeed that there will be, I don't know the exact number, I'll have to take a look at it, but there's going to be several more, 6 or 8 or 10 prime ministers before the final one as it relates to that prophecy. And so it's a different understanding of the numbers that are being counted there in the 70 Shepherds of Israel in the book of Enoch. So something to revisit, to take a look at that. And, could they be turning prime ministers over very quickly? I think that has to be the case for how close we are. I don't think the number of leaders or shepherds in place that interpretation outlines is something that can happen in such a short period. But with the stepping down of Bennett, who knows how fast is Lapid going to step down? And they're going to go to the polls in the near future again to figure out who is going to be next. So is Lapid going to stay in place? Are they going to elect someone else? Do you know what? Netanyahu is now looking to run for prime minister again. So he's in the running again. Interesting. Just a lot going on in Israel as it relates to the prime ministers and such. Now, this is an interesting one. Russia, jpost.com again. Russia orders Jewish agency to stop all operations in country. A dramatic order given to Jewish agency by government officials in Moscow. Now, we know, or we believe, based on Bible prophecy, that the North will march on Israel in terms of the power from the North, Ezekiel 38 and 39. And so this relationship between Israel and Russia needs to break down. And for a while there was a relationship there. There was a strong understanding between Netanyahu and Putin about not interfering in Syria, allowing Israel to do what they needed to for their security purposes in Syria. Russia's now reining that in, especially with the Bennett and Lapid. Especially with Bennett, I don't think there was as much respect between Bennett and Putin as there was between Putin and Netanyahu. And so Russia's been tightening up Syria and getting more getting louder and bolder about not wanting Israel to go in there and do strikes. Well, they are coming down hard on Israel even further now, and ordering a Jewish agency to stop operations in the country. Let's see. The Russian government has ordered a Jewish agency to cease all operations inside the country. The order was given in a letter received by the Russian Justice Ministry earlier this week. Officials in the Jewish agency confirmed the letter was received. They would not comment, however. And it goes on. As part of the work of the Jewish agency's delegation in Russia, we are occasionally required to make certain adjustments as required by authorities. It goes on. So basically, the relationship is breaking down between Russia and Israel. Israel is producing and providing and has the future to produce and provide liquid natural gas, petroleum products to Europe. Russia doesn't like that because Russia wants to be the only provider for Europe. And if Israel circumvents Russia has no power anymore to wield against Europe and to get rubles for their liquid natural gas, their petroleum, gasoline, etc. And so this really weakens Russia if Israel takes over as the energy producer in the Middle East. This is real bad. And so again, Russia's tightening the screws. So this is a big deal, something to keep watch of. And it looks like this is turning very quickly against Israel now in terms of Russia and their attitude there and what they're willing to deal with. Putin's going to want to shut this down very quickly if Israel starts trying to sell product to Europe, because if this takes off, Europe's going to say, you know what, Israel is a more westernized country. They're more stable than Russia. Let's just get all our energy from them. And then Russia would be out, and that would be a bad situation, really forcing Russia's hand to do something against Israel. And what do? Well, they come down to take a spoil, silver and gold, cattle. And of course, when it uses the word spoil, many people say, well, take the SP off spoil and you get oil. And so is the hook in the jaw the oil and the natural gas that Israel is producing for Europe? That is certainly the hook right now to ratchet up tensions between Russia and Israel. Here's a significant one. Iran is breaking all the rules of the agreement. They have resources apparently for 5 nuclear weapons, and in terms of the IAEA inspecting their nuclear facilities, that hasn't really been happening, and Iran's been breaking all those rules anyways with secret facilities. Well, July 5th, this is yesterday, Gantz, Benny Gantz, he reveals unusual, quote unquote, Iranian military activity in the Red Sea. Now, what's his name? Benny Gantz, the president of Iran's military forces in the Red Sea in recent months, is the most significant in a decade. So what are they doing in the Red Sea? What are they doing there? This is a satellite image of a couple of ships. There's, a landing ship, an auxiliary ship, a frigate, and another auxiliary ship there in the image. It says, Israel's defense minister Gantz unveiled satellite images at the annual Economist Government Roundtable in Greece. Iran is expanding its aggressive operations in the region in general and in the naval arena in particular, Gantz said, adding that it's been unusually patrolling the Red Sea with its military ships. So what are they planning? Now, Amir Sarfati came and was speaking of this, I think it was today or yesterday, and he was saying there's something happening. He spoke about this very thing. What is Iran doing there? Are they getting ready for something? Today we can confirm that Iran is methodically basing itself in the Red Sea, with warships patrolling the southern region. What are they doing there? Are they getting ready for conflict? Are they positioning and deploying troops and warships for something to get ready for a future conflict with Israel or with NATO, with the Western countries that would back up Israel in the event of a conflict. What are they doing, staging this military hardware in the Red Sea? Something is going on, and I will leave it at that, folks. Something is going on definitely there. Thanks for watching. I'm going to leave it there for today. We will see you in the next video.